Hey guys, well today I thought I'd do something a little bit different and show you what I've been playing recently. Now, as you may or may not know, depending on whether you saw my 100 subscribers video, I have a whole bunch of old systems and I like to break them out quite frequently and play some old stuff. So along with Call of Duty and Battlefield 3, I'm always playing some form of other game, and usually it's a retro game as well. So this is going to be a small new series which will post very infrequently depending on when I start playing something new. But what I'll do is I'll give you a basic little rundown of the game, kind of give you an overview, give you my thoughts on it, whether it's worth the purchase, whether it's worth hunting down, price-wise and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so this episode of Retro Play, the game we're going to be looking at is a game called Cyberbots, and if you didn't already know, I'm a gigantic fighting game fan, and specifically the Capcom fighting game series, so all the games like Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom and games like that. So I picked up Cyberbots recently on the PSN. You can download it from the American PSN. You can't actually get it from any other region, so EU or Australia or anything like that. And it cost me, I think it was only like $5 or $6, so it was a bit of a bargain. This game was never actually released outside of Japan, so it was only made available to the American PSN quite recently, so that's the only reason I've been able to get it. So it was originally released in 1994, and strangely enough, according to Wikipedia, it says it was released on April 20th, which is my birthday, whether or not that's true, but anyway, that's cool. And it's a 2D fighting game, just like the old Street Fighter games, and it runs on the old CPS2 system. And this engine was pretty popular back in the day. It had a whole bunch of games on it from Capcom, like Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and the Alien vs Predator arcade game, which you may or may not have seen. Obviously games like the original Darkstalkers was on it, X-Men Children of the Atom and the Marvel game, and all the Street Fighter Alpha games were on this board as well, so it was an incredibly popular board at the time. So in terms of how this game plays, it's very much like a one-on-one versus fighting game, and if you're familiar with any of the Street Fighter games from Capcom, it plays in very much the same way. It was pretty revolutionary at the time. It includes things like the super combos that were in the early Street Fighter and Street Fighter Alpha games, and also in the Darkstalker games. It had many other features such as Dash, which eventually found their way into later Capcom games, like the later Street Fighter Alpha, and even some of the more recent Street Fighter games. So despite being a Japanese game that's all very limited to no release outside of Japan, it's pretty interesting that some of the characters in this game made it into a whole bunch of games like Marvel vs. Capcom. So obviously there's Jin, who was in the Marvel vs. Capcom series. I think he was in 1 and 2. And then you've got Devilot, who's made it into games like Puzzle Fighter and also into Marvel vs. Capcom. And then you've got Akuma, who I believe is only in the PlayStation port of the game as an unlockable secret character. And in typical Capcom fashion, he's very difficult to unlock. You have to beat the game with a whole bunch of other characters, including all the other secret characters, and then eventually you have to beat the game without continuing, and finally he's unlocked. And that was one of the other reasons that I was really drawn to this game, is that Akuma is my favorite character. If you didn't know, my YouTube username is Goki God, and Goki is the Japanese name for Akuma, and God used to be my 3 initial name that you would put in at the end of old games when you couldn't have a full gamer tag. You just had those 3 initials. So I got this game specifically so that I could unlock Zero Goki, and just like most of the other games that he's in, he's ridiculously overpowered, but he's a hell of a lot of fun to use and quite ridiculous as well. So like I said, this game's available on the PSN, the American PSN. I think it's like $5 or $6. So if you're a fan of the Street Fighter series and specifically of the 2D fighting games, I can highly recommend picking this one up. It's pretty cheap. There's a good amount of nostalgia that comes along with this game, and also if you really like Japanesey style games, this is definitely one to consider, because the whole thing is in Japanese. They didn't bother translating it when they moved it over to the PSN. So it's in its complete Japanese glory. There's heaps of cool animated cutscenes and dialogue sequences, which obviously, unless you speak Japanese, you're not going to understand, but it's cool anyway, the amount of detail and fan service that's gone into this game. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys are interested in hearing more about what retro games I play or just what other games I play, I'd be more than happy to put up more videos like this in the future. But anyway, your comments, thoughts and opinions and all that sort of stuff is always appreciated. If you like this video, please do me the honor of liking it. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys later. Alright, see ya.